Hello everybody and welcome into the Crisler Center for WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan Volleyball. I'm Austin Falco, alongside me tonight Adam Rich, and later on you'll hear Nick Lee making his Michigan Volleyball broadcast debut as we bring you all the action between the 12th ranked Michigan Wolverines and the 3rd ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers. Michigan coming off a loss last night, a tough loss in 5 sets to Wisconsin Badgers, ranked number 7 in the country. They've got an equally tough, if not a tougher task on their hands tonight here against the Golden Gophers. Wouldn't you say, Adam?
Well, it's a tough task, and that's before factoring in the absence of Mackenzie Welsh in sweatpants before the game, being replaced by Maddie Abbott, who is a good player herself, but nowhere near the caliber of Welsh, who really does it all for this Wolverines team, makes some incredible sets near the net, can make some digs from the back row. She gets involved blocking the ball, and I think her absence tonight is going to be huge for this Wolverines team that is already a little beaten up due to injury.
Yeah, Michigan missing Mackenzie Welsh. That was the big news we found out pregame when she did not come out for warm-ups. In addition, over the past couple weeks, Michigan's been absent of both their starting middle blocker, Corey Crocker, and a key player in the rotation, Sydney Wetterstrom. Doesn't normally start, but a junior outside hitter that we will also not be seeing in action tonight. So Maddie Abbott, Mackenzie Welsh's replacement, has the ball and is ready to start serving right to left here for the Wolverines to open up this match. Abbott bounces, gets the okay to go, and the jump serve's over. We are underway. Minnesota ready for the return. It's Crisler Swenson. She goes left side over here. Kill attempt dug out. Was Alexis Hart trying. Michigan tries left side for Paige Jones, and she converts off the kill out of bounds. Michigan's up 1-0.
And it's good to see Paige Jones coming out swinging, because last night in the 4th and 5th set, we really saw a lot of errors from her. And it just looked like her legs were getting a little tired and she couldn't find the back of the court. But right there, right away, Jones going for broke, getting the first point for the Wolverines.
Michigan up 1-0. Credit Maddie Abbott with the assist.
And interesting, Maddie Abbott starting on serve tonight, since she is in the starting lineup instead of Paige Jones.
Michigan had issues on the front line yesterday, perhaps trying to get as many bodies up there to start off as they can. Maddie Abbott now over to serve yet again. This is returnable for Minnesota. They try down the middle and in on the back line. That was Taylor Morgan with the kill.
And you see it there early and often. While we talk about Michigan missing their setter on the Minnesota side, Samantha Sellinger-Swenson, the best in the country.
Serving now for the Golden Gophers is the setter, Sellinger-Swenson. Michigan's going to get a return. They try right side. Slide play for Kiara Shannon. Ugly timing on that one. Minnesota gets a chance. They go left side for Hart, and she finds right down the middle of the floor. 2-1 Golden Gophers.
And you can see right away, this first unit is so used to getting all their reps in with Mackenzie Welsh there. Abbott, as we said, a good player in and of herself, but just the timing off because you don't have the opportunity to practice, especially on one day's notice.
Sellinger-Swenson to serve again from Minnesota. It's Jones. Abbott now trying left side for Jones. Jones dug out. Louis Sellinger-Swenson trying left side for Hart again. Touch shot dug out by Michigan. Abbott going left side for Jones again. Missed timing a little bit again, and Minnesota gets a chance to return. The bump set there from McGraw goes to the right, dug out by the libero for Michigan. That's Jenna Lurg. After a tip play, sets it over to Minnesota. They try left side for Alexis Hart. Dug out by Michigan this time. Lurg with the bump set. Goes left for Paige Jones. Cross court. Dug out yet again by McGraw. Minnesota tries right side. Dug out by a diving Jenna Lurg. Michigan now goes left side for Paige Jones. Off the block and out of bounds. Point Michigan after a long rally there. It's all evened up at 2 points apiece here in the first set.
And right there, the biggest thing we saw from the Wolverines was maintaining their focus, something they really lacked at times yesterday, making just poor first touches, failing to communicate on the backside. Right there, not an issue at all for the Wolverines. Hopefully for them, they can stay locked in throughout the entire set.
Paige Jones now back to serve, goes with the big jump serve here, and returnable from Minnesota. Sellinger-Swenson goes over the middle there, mistimed a bit, and Michigan gets a chance. Abbott, back set to the right side for Glavinich, who dug out by Minnesota. Michigan thought they had a point there for a second, and they do. 4 hits.
And from the Minnesota side, we saw them attempt the slide play, something we got all too used to last night with Dana Retke from Wisconsin, but no one quite as lethal hitting the ball on Minnesota's side, making things easier to game plan on the Wolverines side.
It's Paige Jones to serve again with the jump serve, but she puts it long. She can really find that back line sometimes, but if she's not on, it doesn't look pretty, and server saves gives Minnesota the point to even things up at 3.
Yeah, just a tough break for Jones, but as we've seen all year, one error is not going to stop her from being aggressive.
Now to serve for Minnesota is Lauren Barnes. She puts it over. It'll be Jones. Abbott trying right side for Glavinich again, and off the block, or off the dig attempt and out of bounds. Point, Michigan, and Katarina Glavinich making her mark felt early on here with a couple early points, and Michigan's up 4-3.
And a lot of what we've seen from Glavinich so far this year has been in short spurts, but they're coming out firing. She'll hope to continue it throughout the set.
Jenna Lurie, the server for the Wolverines now. She puts it over. It's dug out by McGraw. A little bit of a tough set there, and then put out of bounds by Carly Scott. But we have a net violation, I believe. It was the setter. Seliger Swenson tried to save the ball from going over, reached over the net, apparently, according to our chair referee tonight. Chair referee Jim Werner. Well, she did go over the net, preventing Michigan from making a play on it, and Michigan gets the point to go up 5-3. Not without being haggled there for a second by Hugh McCutcheon, head coach for the Golden Gophers. Learned to serve again for Michigan. It's McGraw. Seliger Swenson goes right side and off the tip and down for Stephanie Samity. Point Minnesota. It's 5-4 Michigan.
And Stephanie Samity, the team leader in kills. Minnesota's going to look to get her involved, but they have 5 players with triple-digit kills on this season, so really everybody eats.
It'll be McGraw, the libero, serving for Minnesota now. Michigan tries up the middle for Kayla Bear, but it's denied. They'll get another chance. Now trying left side for Carly Scott, off the block, and Minnesota gets a chance now. Seliger Swenson goes over the middle. Pittman dug out by the back row playing Paige Jones. Michigan tries Scott to no avail. Minnesota tries Samity to no avail. Michigan now tries right side for Glavinich off the tip. Minnesota gets a clean try at it, and off of a diving Paige Jones and out of bounds for Regan Pittman goes the kill, and it's 5-5.
And on the Minnesota side, great timing, but for Michigan side, Maddie Abbott doing a commendable job on the back row, really making it feel like Welsh is playing tonight.
It's McGraw to serve again for Minnesota, and she serves it right into the top of the tape. That'll be a service error. Each team has one now, and Michigan leads 6-5.
And getting back to Abbott, a lot of good digs from her tonight. As I was saying, Mackenzie Welsh, such a well-rounded player, really is able to get involved in the game in all facets, and missing a player like her can be tough, but so far not a problem.
Michigan serves it over to Minnesota now. They try right side for Samity, and she finds the middle of the floor for a Minnesota point to even things up at 6 apiece. That was Katarina Rocafort getting in the game for Michigan and serving that last time. And now it'll be Samity to serve for Minnesota. She jump serves it over. 3 turnables. Scott. Rocafort going left side all the way across for Scott and dug out by Minnesota. Seliger Swenson tries right side slide play, and down it goes off the block for Regan Pittman. Powerful swing there from the redshirt sophomore out of Spring Hill, Kansas. And Minnesota leads 7-6.
Yeah, Regan Pittman standing 6'5", able to easily get up and get a great angle on the ball.
Stephanie Samity jump serves again. It's Scott. Rocafort going back row for Paige Jones, but dug out by McGraw. They try the slide play again for Pittman, but it's denied by the Wolverines. This time they'll try to the left side. It's dug out there. It was Alexis Hart trying to make a play, and Michigan tips it over on that one.
And again, just awkward timing on a set, but it honestly looked like for as much as the timing threw off the Wolverines, it threw off Minnesota even more, left their players scrambling. Tied up at 7 now. That
was Kayla Bear in the middle getting the kill. Carly Scott back to serve for Michigan. It's dug out Minnesota. They try slide play yet again for Pittman, but she goes too long. No tip on the play. Michigan point. They lead 8-7. To make a point on that last one, Kayla Bear got that kill on what you again said awkward timing. She never looked quite in sync yesterday. Did not record a kill against Wisconsin on the board early here. Carly Scott to serve again. She puts it right into the net. Another service error early on in this one, and Minnesota ties it up at 8 apiece without having to do anything.
Rare error on serve by the veteran Scott, but the Wolverines have been much better tonight on their first touches.
Donna Rollins to serve for the Golden Gophers. It's returned by Paige Jones. Rocafort going over the middle. Kayla Bear, but stuffed down. Right back at her. That was the big 6'5" middle blocker, Regan Pittman, the main one on that block, and Minnesota leads 9-8.
And for as good as this Golden Gopher team is, serving is their one weak spot.
Rollins serves Jones. Rocafort going left side for Paige Jones. That one also blocked, but it lands on the Minnesota side. So point Michigan, kill for Paige Jones. That's her 3rd of the match, and Michigan now ties it up at 9. Kayla Bear serving. Jump serves it over, returnable McGraw. Somebody Swenson dumps it right down the line. Absolutely beautiful job of finding the open space on the floor and gives Minnesota a 10-9 lead.
And Swenson, the only player in NCAA history to record 5,000 assists, and that's at any level over the course of her career. So she is such a threat passing the ball that teams have to cheat for it, enabling that dump play that we've seen so many times from Mackenzie Welsh.
Big middle blocker, Regan Pittman to serve. It's returned by Scott. Going over the middle now for Kiara Shannon. Awkward timing again for Michigan. Gives Minnesota a relatively easy chance. The kill attempt is not going to be able to be handled. There was Alexis Hart, bounced it off of Carly Scott. Jenna Lurd could not chase it down. Minnesota's up by 2 now. It's 11-9.
Yeah, Minnesota making to get all those stars involved on the outside. Samity, Hart, and Pittman, all great hitters, showcasing their power early.
Pittman looks up. Now goes for a little bit of a jump serve. It's soft. Scott, Rocafort, right side there. Coming into the game now for the Wolverines. Trying to kill that one was... Apologies there.
And from the Minnesota side, something that has really shocked me is how many players come forward on a set. Really at any given point, any player could get the ball, and it's left this Michigan team on their heels.
Apologies, there was Ellie Brooks with the kill attempt, but Minnesota stopped it back, went to Taylor Morgan for the kill. Michigan now returns the serve there, and Paige Jones left side with a little tip shot gets Michigan back on the board after a quick 3-0 Minnesota run. It's 12-10 now in favor of the Golden Gophers.
Again, all around for the Wolverines. The sets haven't been there. Jones realized she was too close to the net, and if she hit the ball cleanly, it was going to go straight into a blocker's hand. Nice job to tip it over and get the point.
Maddie Abbott serves, returnable for Minnesota. Seliger Swenson goes right side there and had a wide open lane, did Taylor Morgan. She took advantage of it, put it right down the middle of the floor, and gives Minnesota a 3-point lead.
And Taylor Morgan has ups, and unfortunately for Paige Jones, she was caught in a one-on-one situation there. No help from the middle blocker. Easy win every single time for Morgan.
It'll be Seliger Swenson. Serves it to Michigan. Michigan tries right side slide play for Kiara Shannon, but dug out by Minnesota. A little bit of a tough return. 2 Minnesota players go to hit the ball and put it out of bounds. Awkward looking play there. That was Stephanie Samity and I think Taylor Morgan also, both trying to fight for the ball that was bumped up in the air by their fellow frontline player Alexis Hart. She's trying to make a save. They just hit it long.
Yeah, lucky no one got hurt on that little collision.
Paige Jones serves from Michigan. They're down 2 now. Minnesota with the return, but can't keep it out of the pole. A tough serve there from Jones to handle leads to a tough set that goes right into the pole, and Michigan gets a point. It's 13-12 Gophers now.
And Paige Jones' serve, something you can't game plan for in the scouting report.
Jones serves it over, this time handled better by Minnesota. They go right side, and that one's going to go out of bounds off the dig attempt. That's Taylor Morgan yet again from that right side, bringing the thunder. Puts Minnesota back up by 2.
And although the Wolverines don't win the point necessarily every time on Jones' serve, you can see a difficult first touch on the opposing side every single time, making things tough.
Lauren Barnes into serve for Minnesota. Michigan gets a chance off the bump set for Carly Scott. It goes off a block and out of bounds. Point Michigan now. They'd like to see Carly Scott get going here. That's her first kill of the match and gets Michigan back within 1.
Yeah, after a night where she was incredibly active last night, I think she had around 60 total attempts hitting the ball. Scott gets her first kill of the night in a big way for the Wolverines.
Jenna Lurg serving for Michigan. Dug out McGraw, Seliger Swenson. She goes all the way on the back set to the other side of the court. Samity didn't get a lot on it. Michigan tries back row kill for Paige Jones. It goes off a block and out of bounds. Point Michigan. They've tied it up at 14 now.
And that play starts with Jenna Lurg, as do most things for the Wolverines. A beautiful pass on the first touch, setting up the setter Abbott, who put it perfectly for Jones to win the point.
Lurg still serving for Michigan. Minnesota tries over the middle there, and it goes off the Michigan block and down on the Michigan side. We've got Taylor Morgan again in the middle, if I'm not mistaken. They're just going to her time and time again, and Minnesota has a 15-14 lead.
Absolutely, 5th kill of the night for Morgan. 5 for 5 as well, really dominating the Wolverines.
CC McGraw puts it over for Minnesota now. Michigan tries right side for Katarina Glavinich. A great handle there by Minnesota, but they're going to give Michigan a free ball. It's Bear. Abbott, right side, Glavinich. Off the dig attempt and out of bounds. Point Michigan, point Katarina Glavinich. Her third kill of the match on just 5 swings. And we're tied up at 15 apiece.
And Abbott looking much more comfortable setting the ball now. You got to wonder, you've seen a lot more attempts for Glavinich early on. You got to wonder if that second string connection is at work there. And that's why the Wolverines have chosen to go to her more often.
Katarina Rocafort in the game now as the setter for Michigan. She serves. Minnesota gets a chance, but it's dug out by Rocafort. Carly Scott gets a chance off a bump set, but goes to Minnesota. Bump set there from McGraw. Tip shot tried there by Samity. Michigan gets a chance to go left side for Scott again. Dug out by Minnesota. That was a diving Barnes. Minnesota goes left side off the block and down. Adana Rollins, the outside hitter, the freshman out of Corralton, Texas.
And an interesting note from the Wolverines side, no Natalie Smith thus far tonight. Has not appeared at all in the game, but Katarina Rocafort has been playing over her.
Stephanie Samity to serve now for Minnesota. Michigan tries left side to Carly Scott. She found a lane. She took advantage of it, and we're tied up at 16.
Veteran presence late in the set, a crucial, seemingly, first set. Carly Scott taking over when things matter most, now on serve.
As you mentioned, she serves it over. Minnesota gets a chance to return there. It's Seliger Swenson going left side. Blocked back. That was Ellie Brooks, the little played outside hitter, getting in on the block attempt there against Adana Rollins.
Yeah, Ellie Brooks at 5'11", a player you don't want isolated on the outside too often. Worked out well.
Carly Scott served it over. It tipped the top of the tape, went over. Minnesota tried to dig it out, but Paige Jones smacked it right back at him. It eventually went off the Gophers, not a bounce. Michigan's got a 2-point lead here late in the set, 18-16, against the number 3 team in the nation.
And on the Michigan side, Carly Scott, just as we saw last night in the crucial 4th set with the Wolverines down, won a point for her team, got back on serve, and iced things. Looking to do the same right here after taking 2 in a row.
Michigan on a 3-0 scoring run here. As you mentioned, a couple of those coming with Carly Scott behind the line. For whatever reason, that lineup for Michigan just works so well. The threat of Carly Scott coming out of the back row is enough to mitigate what's been a shorthanded Wolverines team over the last couple of weeks, and just got more shorthanded today. Again, if you didn't catch it at the top of the broadcast, Michigan missing 2 starters and 1 de facto starter. Corey Crocker and Sydney Wetterstrom have both been out for the last few weeks due to undisclosed health reasons, and Mackenzie Welsh now joining them. It looked like yesterday in that match against Wisconsin, Welsh came up a little bit late. I believe it was in the 4th set yesterday. Just didn't quite look right. Might have tweaked something. We hate to speculate about injuries, but it's hard to imagine that's not what it has her out of the lineup today.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to mention that. There was a point last night where I think in the 4th set, it looked like Welsh slipped on a wet spot on the court. And as you said, came up gimpy, called for the attendant to come over, mop the court. But still, seeing her in the sweatpants today, not a good sign for the Wolverines. And, you know, it stinks that you have to miss such a big game, but in the long run, things should be okay.
Carly Scott, one of the hearts and souls of this team, serves it over for Michigan. Minnesota tries left side, dug out there by Lurg off the kill attempt from Rollins. Michigan tries left side. Paige Jones bounces it off a diving Barnes and out of bounds. Point Michigan. They've got themselves a 3-point lead now on a 4-0 scoring run, 19-16.
And Paige Jones has been dominant today. 7 of 11 hitting the ball, looking really crisp.
Scott puts it over. Tough handle for Minnesota. They tried left side, but stuffed back. They'll try again to the left side for Rollins. It goes off the block. Kept alive there by a diving Rocafort, but they went around the pole. I don't know about that one. The Michigan bench is up in arms.
Yeah, Lisa Rosen up like she's about to be the 7th player on the court, but I really like what I've seen on the past few plays from Kayla Bear. You talked about yesterday being a little bit of a struggle for her. But tonight, her timing has been infinitely better blocking the ball. She's had some better hits, things really turning around, and it's good to see such resilience from a freshman.
It looks like we might get a challenge here from Coach Mark Rosen if he can. He does indeed challenge the point. Katarina Rocafort off the block attempt. A lot of times when you see those block attempts that start to go out of bounds, there's no one in position to even try to make a play on it except for the one that hit it. But Rocafort diving, sprawling out, hit it back over the net. It looked from our vantage point up here at least, like it went between the poles that extend from each side of the net on the sidelines.
Yeah, after last night, I like to think I lost some of my officiating credibility. Nick and I were really struggling on those. It looked like we had everything on the far white line, and I think we were 0 for 3. But, yeah, here again, that clearly looked like it got over the top of the net. Should be a point do-over. But just getting back to Bear, watching the replay again, so agile to get to the spot immediately, time her jump perfectly, get both hands in the way, to get in the way of Rollins' kill attempt, and it's great to see her bounce back like this in the first set after such a tough match yesterday. We got the pleasure to interview her after, and you could tell the loss was dragging on her and her performance was dragging on her, and she just seemed eager to come out and really right those wrongs from yesterday, and it's been incredible to see thus far.
Yeah, Kayla Bear, she did look, I don't want to say slow yesterday, but just a little overmatched, really. And it's hard not to when you're going against a talent like Dana Ratke standing out there. What was it, 6'8", I believe she's listed as for the Wisconsin Badgers. Just an absolute force in the middle. Really tough when you're being thrown in, not as a normal starter. I mean, Kayla Bear, just a freshman out of Prior Lake, Minnesota. You're thrown into that type of role. It can be really tough, and so far early on, you mentioned how well she's been playing early on here. Very notable, going back and forth across the front of the net. Really speaks to her resiliency, even as a freshman, that she's showing here to come out and put her best foot forward, try to recover from last night, try to help the team win here. And they've got what currently sits as a 2-point lead pending this review from Dan Hauser. Looks like he is finalized.
And just a last note on Bear, really trial by fire in the Big Ten Conference. They did just take the point off the board. Not sure if that's indicative of anything, but I think it is.
Yeah, it was ruled indeed that it did go over the net, but it was blown dead, so I believe that's just an inadvertent whistle. 2 thumbs up, and we start over exactly where we just left off at 19-16, and Carly Scott serving.
And lucky for the Wolverines, as they had just given Minnesota a free ball.
They gave him a free ball, but they did save the point on that one. So it's a little give and take. Carly Scott starts a tough handle from Minnesota. They go back set, trying the tip, but dug out by Michigan. Right side, and out of bounds. Ellie Brooks tried to find that back line. A little bit of a softer hit. The timing wasn't quite there yet again. And Minnesota takes a point to make that last review moot, I guess, and bring it to 19-17.
Little case of ball don't lie.
Oh, rather, actually, I think it was tipped there. They get the point to Michigan on the last one. My mistake. Eventually, Michigan here serves to Minnesota, gets a tip, serves a free ball to Minnesota. They try it left side for Rollins. Rollins now gives a free ball to Michigan. They go left side. Paige Jones trying for a big swing. Tipped up by Minnesota, staying alive. Back set, going right side, and off the tip, out of bounds. Regan Pittman with the kill. My mistake on that last one, I don't know if they called a net violation. They actually gave the kill to Ellie Brooks, said it was tipped at the net. So Michigan took a 20-16 lead. It is now down to 20-17. That point definitively goes to Minnesota. I am 100% sure about that one. It'll be a Donna Rollins back to serve. Returned by Michigan. Ellie Brooks setting back across to Paige Jones. Big swing there. Returned by Minnesota. They go left side, and finding the back line is Alexis Hart, the junior out of Kansas City, Missouri, from that left side.
Just such power on that one from Hart. Really incredible just how much air she gets at only 6 feet tall.
Rollins serves again. It'll be Lurg. Rocafort left side for Paige Jones. Dug out there by, I believe it was Rollins in the back row. Little tip shot from Hart, dug out by Michigan. They try left side for Paige Jones again. Tip shot, dug out by Hart. They're going back and forth. Hart tries left side, stuck back by the Wolverines. Kept alive by Minnesota. They'll offer up a free ball for Michigan. It's Scott. Rocafort going to the right side. Ellie Brooks off the tip, comes down on Michigan's side. They'll try again. Rocafort going left side. Paige Jones, she times it up, dug out, or rather hit back to the Wolverine side. Ellie Brooks now tip shot for Michigan, handled by Minnesota. They'll get their first chance. Bump set by McGraw. Trying for Hart, stuffed back by Michigan. Set, try for Hart again. Left side does Minnesota. She tries to go cross court, but good awareness by Paige Jones. Michigan tries back row. Carly Scott, dug out by Minnesota. They try the slide play there for Pittman, and she finds the floor finally. to give a point to Minnesota and bring them back within one. It's 20-19. Woo. After a long point, head coach Mark Rosen calls timeout.
Austin, I'm impressed you had that whole one under control. That was an incredible rally, incredible blocking on both sides of the ball for Michigan. Again, Kayla Bear getting things done on the opposite side for Minnesota. Great play by Pittman and Hart on the far left side, I believe. I think there were, what was it, 5 or 6 blocks on that one. That was incredible. And then the Wolverines pulled out their best weapon, the Carly Scott play from the back row, and Minnesota was able to fend that one off fairly easily. Didn't place it that well, but still she really got a lot of good rhythm into the shot. One that Carly Scott puts away 90% of the time. Minnesota, a great play on the back line to position themselves, get a ball up, great first touch, better set, and then finally the finish by Pittman, really deserving it after the block she had earlier on.
Yeah, like you mentioned, long point, a lot of blocks going back and forth. Michigan tried Paige Jones a couple times. They tried the right side for Ellie Brooks, the redshirt sophomore out of Altadena, California, now getting some playing time with Sydney Wetterstrom out, and now Corey Crocker and Mackenzie Welsh as well. Just couldn't find anything to fall. They went to that Carly Scott back row kill attempt. She looked just the slightest bit off, didn't get quite as much on as she normally does. And Minnesota finally switched up their rhythm. They tried Hart several times, then went Pittman on the slide to get the point. So Minnesota keeps possession of the serve. Adana Rollins puts it over. Tough handle for Paige Jones. Jenna Lurg bump sets back to Paige Jones on left side. A great bump set, but Paige Jones hits it into the net, and we're tied up at 20.
And there's that inconsistency that Coach Mark Rosen talks about. Jones looking a little tired again on that one, not able to get high enough. Sent it straight into the net.
Rollins still serving. Minnesota on a 4-0 run to tie things up. It's Lurg. Rocafort, left side, Paige Jones. Off the kill attempt. Oh, it's dug out over to Michigan side. They try back row for Carly Scott. She tips it over the back row. Dug out there by a diving McGraw. Trying to tip it over as the Minnesota Golden Gophers just stuffed back. They'll eventually hit it over to Michigan. Lurg tries left side for Paige Jones, and she finds the back line. Put a lot of English on that one and gives Michigan a 21-20 lead.
And up here, we applaud the digs from Jenna Lurg all the time, but how about her bump setting? With Welsh out tonight, and then on that play, Rocafort, who's actually playing ahead of Abbott and has been for these past 15 or so points, making more plays.
Natalie Smith in the serve for Michigan, her first action of the day. Trying for a dump attempt there was Seliger Swenson. It goes over. Michigan dug it out, gave it back to Minnesota. Then Minnesota, rather, tried to go for Pittman on the slide play, and she put it down the right side. Michigan seemed to disagree. There might be a little bit of a haggle here, waiting to see what's exactly going on. They're just making subs. The point's going to go to Minnesota off the slide play for Pittman. It's 21 apiece. Now Maddie Abbott comes back in. For the first time, Michigan has both Rocafort and Abbott on the court at the same time. They were rotating originally. Abbott would play for 3 rotations. Rocafort would play for 3 rotations. Both out there now at the same time. Regan Pittman serving for Minnesota. Puts it over, Paige Jones. Abbott with the set. She goes right side, Kiara Shah on the slide, just a little bit off there, and Minnesota's going to get a chance, possibly. They go try left side for Hart. She gives a soft one over to Michigan. Abbott, left side, Paige Jones, off the block and down. Point Michigan. They lead 22-21.
And a great mid-air adjustment there by Paige Jones. Looked like on the way up she was a little bit off, but able to tool the block, get it just between the 2 blockers, hit the right arm of the middle blocker, send that one out of bounds, and get Michigan closer to taking the set.
Rocafort comes off now as Maddie Abbott goes back to serve for Michigan. Minnesota tries left side for Hart. Kept alive by Carly Scott. Bump set from Lurg, left side. Paige Jones, dug out by McGraw. Seliger Swenson going left side, and down it goes. Taylor Morgan off the right side. The middle blocker, listed as a middle blocker, playing a lot coming off the right side. Gets the point and ties things up at 22.
And on that last chance for Michigan, I was really surprised because Carly Scott was in the back row, but instead the Wolverines opted to go up front to Jones.
Seliger Swenson hits it over to Michigan. Dug out there by a sprawling Paige Jones. She's going to get a kill attempt there off the set from Abbott. She finds the lane, bounces it off a Minnesota player and out of bounds for another point. Paige Jones just out of her mind right now. Every time she touches the ball, gives Michigan a 23-22 lead.
Yeah, and it would be one thing if she was winning the one-on-ones, but she's beating 2 blockers at a time.
She goes to serve now, tips off top of the tape. Tough return for Minnesota. They go right down the middle, though, and that's Taylor Morgan again, I believe. Absolutely just on fire on the other side, Taylor Morgan.
Yeah, and on that one, Shannon just looked a little bit off trying to block. We haven't called her name at all tonight, Kiara Shannon. She's been getting a fair amount of playing time, but really her first chance to get involved in the action there, and just was a half-second slow.
Correct, that was Stephanie Samity on the kill to bring it to 23 apiece. Now Lauren Barnes serves to Michigan. Abbott, left side, Carly Scott tips off the block, kept alive by Barnes. Seliger Swenson, left side, off the tip there was Rollins. Michigan gets a chance. They go for the back row. Paige Jones off a sprawling McGraw and out of bounds. Michigan leads 24-23, and Crisler Center rises to their feet. The Michigan Volleyball Band bats away on the drums. Michigan within 1 point here if they can get this one of taking down the number 3 team in the country here in this first set.
And now Jenna Lerg, one of the Wolverines' best, back to serve.
She puts it over. And a tough handle there from Minnesota. Bump set goes to the left side. Rollins, Michigan gets a chance now. Bump set Abbott. Scott has to tip it over. Miscommunication there. Bump set from McGraw. Left side, dug up by Michigan. Abbott, bump sets. Carly Scott off the block and down. Not able to be saved by Jenna Lerg. Big block there. That was Morgan and Samity, I believe, on that right side, left side of Michigan's attack with the big block to tie things up at 24.
And I know she hasn't had an attempt in a long time, but Glavinich had a one-on-one opportunity there on the far side.
McGraw to serve for Minnesota. It's Jones. Abbott going left side for Carly Scott. And what do you know? She beats 2 blockers again and gives Michigan a 25-24 lead as everyone once again is on their feet.
And on top of beating the 2 blockers, Rollins went over there too. She tried to get involved in the middle. There were really 3 blockers trying to obstruct Carly Scott, but to no avail.
Had Rocafort in to serve for Michigan. She puts it over. Handled by Minnesota. Seliger Swenson. Left side Rollins and off the block out of bounds. Point Minnesota. And once again we are tied up at 25. Neither team can get 2 points in a row to seal this thing. It'll be Stephanie Samity back to serve for Minnesota now. She takes a second. Gives it a jump serve over. It's handleable. No, it's not. Paige Jones off her pass attempt. Had a little funky English on the serve attempt. Did it going right to left from Samity's point of view. It went out of bounds, and Minnesota leads 26-25 now.
Tough break there from Jones. Looked like she was in perfect position. Just volleyball, like every sport, is a game of angles. And by not having the correct angle on your set, if that ball goes off just really even half a degree, bad things happen, as we saw there. Just an unfortunate break, but now Minnesota is going to have to capitalize on this one immediately. Look for them to try and attack Jones on the back row. They've gone there a fair amount tonight.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine that's where the serve is going to go. Jones had a couple successful ones where it looks like she's handling them just fine, and other times really having trouble returning some serves, like that last one. Granted, Samity was serving from the right side and got it to the middle of the floor. Was definitely putting a little bit of spin on it, but still something that I'm sure Paige Jones has seen before and probably regrets not being able to get a good first touch on there.
And now Carly Scott starting in the back left corner. Expect, once the ball comes over, 2 Minnesota blockers at a time to dedicate themselves to getting in her way.
Yeah,
if you're Minnesota, you're okay with someone else beating you, but you can't let them use what you know they're going to use.
Right now, Michigan on the floor in the front row, as you mentioned, Carly Scott, Kayla Bear, and Ellie Brooks. Scott, the only one that has really played all season long and is the star for the Wolverines. Been quiet today, just 3 kills on 11 swings. All 3 kills against pretty much a double block every time. They also do have the threat of Paige Jones from the back row, who's been on fire today. 11 kills on 23 swings, and we're only in the first set. It'll be Samity to serve for Minnesota, and indeed goes back for Jones. She sets it to Rocafort, who goes left side for Carly Scott. Off the block, back to Michigan side. Kept alive. Rocafort tries Scott again. A little bit off balance. Rocafort again. Bump set, Jenna Lerg goes to back row. Paige Jones off the tip. Minnesota gets a chance to return. Bump set there from Barnes. They try right side. Joust attempt goes to Michigan side. Bump set, Lerg, left side, Scott, blocked down to Michigan side. Minnesota with a huge block to end it there. There's Pittman and Morgan on the stuff, or rather Pittman and Rollins on the stuff. registers that 27th point for Minnesota to win by 2 here in the first set, 27-25. Something Michigan, I think, thought they might have been able to take that set.
Yeah, tough break there. That's really going to set the tone. I would not be surprised if this Michigan team just comes out a little flat to start the second set. Just feeling a little down after that one. But I was really surprised mostly that Katarina Glavinic wasn't as involved. In those first 10 or so points, the Wolverines were really feeding her, and it looked like she had tons of chemistry with Katarina Rocafort. Pretty much perfect timing on every single play between them, but really nothing once the Wolverines got past 11 or 12 points. And once this Wolverine attack is isolated down to Scott and Jones, things stagnate. And you could see there on the last play, Scott was facing the 2 blockers up front, and Adana Rollins had slid in underneath to take away the tip play. So coming out, the Wolverines are just going to have to diversify the attack, and as has been the case all season, rely on a third player outside of their main 2 hitters.
Yeah, you mentioned Katarina Glavinic started off well, 3 kills on 5 swings early on in this one. As we'll hear more from Adam Rich in a bit, bringing Nick Lee just in 1 second here. But to recap that first set of action, Minnesota takes it by a score of 27-25. Michigan had 2 set points in that one where they had a chance to put it away, could not capitalize. As Adam Rich talked about, really it's been a 2-woman show for Michigan a lot of the year. Paige Jones and Carly Scott, the 2 main hitters for Michigan. Paige Jones really showed up in that first set, 11 kills on 24 swings, just 1 attack error, hitting .417. Carly Scott not quite as lucky, 3 kills on 14 swings. Very different than what we saw yesterday when she led the team, was really the only threat for Michigan, recording 27 kills against Wisconsin. We have to imagine she's someone that Michigan really wants to get going starting in this second set if they want a chance to take this one from the 3rd-ranked Minnesota Golden Gophers. And Nick, you were off to the side there. Any noticeable things stick out to you from the first set other than really just Minnesota attacking with so many different players? Michigan really relying on just Paige Jones.
Yeah, Paige Jones really stood out in Michigan. And seemed like she was mostly the only person going for those hits there during the entire first set. Minnesota did a very good job at blocking the entire time. Very good plays by both teams in the first set.
Yeah, to your point, Minnesota 3 blocks officially on the day according to the stat sheet, 0 for Michigan. Again, those blocks only count the ones that get stuffed back for a point for your team. Minnesota, plenty more than that. They're getting their hands on just about everything Michigan tries to put over. Very few uncontested balls. Michigan having a tough time against the front line, and Minnesota is just, they're stacked on that front line. It's part of why they're number 3 team in the country. They're so well balanced. We've got the likes of Pittman and Morgan listed as middle blockers, who are both leading the team in kills. 6 swings, 6 kills for Taylor Morgan, 5 kills on 10 swings for Regan Pittman. Something Michigan's really struggled without having Corey Crocker in the lineup, is dealing with middle blockers. That trend continuing yet again here today. Looks like we're getting ready to start the second set of action. Michigan comes out with their same starting lineup they did in the first set. Again, Maddie Abbott, the setter in there, something to watch throughout this match today. Mackenzie Welsh, the All-American setter from a couple of years ago, was named the Big Ten Setter of the Week this year at least once, way back in August. But one of the best setters in the conference, if not the country, out for Michigan. They were still able to hang with Minnesota. Starting to serve for Minnesota is their star setter. It's Seliger Swenson. Michigan gets a chance now. They try left side for Paige Jones, who goes off the block. Out of bounds, point Michigan. They lead 1-0. Paige Jones off to a hot start yet again. It'll be Jones back to serve now. Takes her place behind the line. Has a big jump serve. Here it comes. Returned really nicely there by Hart. They're going to try for her on the left side is Minnesota. Dug out by Lerg. Kept alive possibly by Scott. She hits it back to her side and put over by Michigan. They give a free ball, but what a save. Hart with the attempt now, and she finds the line, or rather goes off the Michigan block and finds the line for a point. Minnesota, we're tied up at 1.
Berg has been playing really well throughout the entire game so far. Really trying to keep Michigan in the game here.
One of the best setters in Michigan history. Serving for Minnesota now is Lauren Barnes. She puts it over. Trying on the right side is Glavinich, but it's stuffed back by Minnesota. And Minnesota's up 2-1. Again, that block for Minnesota coming in handy. Their 4th block of the match. First one here in this set. Gives them that lead. Countering Glavinich. Now 3 kills on 6 swings. Still tied for second for the Wolverines. Barnes serves over. Bump set from Abbott to Scott on the left side, but it's dug out there by Barnes. Minnesota is going to give a free ball to Michigan after a bit of a scramble. Abbott goes over the middle there for Kiara Shannon, but it was stuck back by Morgan. Michigan went outside right side for Glavinich, but it's dug out by McGraw. Seliger Swenson goes right side, tipped and kept alive off the Samity kill. Michigan tries left side for Carly Scott, but dug out for the Golden Gophers. They tried bump set there, and down it goes off a nice little finesse shot from Stephanie Samity on the right side to give Minnesota a 3-1 lead.
Minnesota has been doing well setting up their players for those kill shots throughout both the sets so far.
Seliger Swenson, along with some bump sets from McGraw, the libero, doing excellent. Michigan now tries right side for Glavinich. She hits it just a little bit too long, trying to go cross court, couldn't find that line on the left side. Goes out of bounds, and Minnesota leads 4-1. Now Paige Jones will be subbed out for Natalie Smith, trying to get perhaps a little bit better on the back row. Get some better first touches. With a tough server like Lauren Barnes in. Barnes takes a second, jump serves it over. Smith digs it. They try over the middle, does Michigan for Kiara Shannon, and cannot handle that one as Barnes. It bounces off of her and out of bounds. Michigan gets back within 2. The score 4-2.
A great kill shot there by Michigan's Shannon.
Jenna Lurg back to serve for the Wolverines. Bounces a couple times, gets the okay to go. She puts it over. And ace right in front of a diving McGraw. Finds the floor. Beautiful job there by Jenna Lurg to find the space between the front and back rows. Gets Michigan back within 1. One of the best servers on the Wolverine roster is Jenna Lurg, the senior out of Farmington Hills, Michigan. She puts it over again. This one is handled by Minnesota. Seliger Swenson goes to the middle there. Timing's a little off, and Taylor Morgan hits it into the net. Trying to go for a tip shot. It was a little behind her, and Michigan ties it up at 4. Lurg serving yet again with Michigan on a 3-0 run to tie it up here early in set number 2. Lurg serves it over again and puts it too long on the right side. She likes to go left to right with her serve and just put it a little bit too far. Service error there gives Minnesota a 5-4 advantage. Be the fellow libero of Lurg on the Minnesota side, McGraw, to serve it over. Dug out by Smith. Abbott tries right side there for Glavinich, but stuffed back again by the Golden Gophers. Absolutely amazing there on the front line. It was Pittman and Rollins this time getting in on the block. Minnesota leads 6-4, and McGraw resumes serving. She puts it over, dug out Scott. Abbott going left side for Scott. She goes all the way around. Tip shot kept alive by Minnesota. The kill attempt there for Samity. Michigan gets a chance. They go left side again for Scott, but not before we have 2 hits on the set from Maddie Abbott. Michigan showing the absence of Mackenzie Welsh here on that one. Giving away a point to Minnesota. And the Gophers 3-0 run leads 7-4. McGraw serves it to Michigan. They try right side for Glavinich, who can't find it down the right line. Jenna Lurg very upset. She thought that one was in. And Minnesota now leads 8-4. Mark Rosen talking with the official down on the floor, Dan Hauser. And he's challenging, thinking that ball was tipped before going out of bounds. Mark Rosen's second challenge of the day. He won his first one and got a point taken off from Minnesota back in the first set. Here's the line judge, Henry Yunping Chen, down the line over here to our right, making the call Took a second before he actually made the call whether it was out or not. It no doubt landed out. Just a matter of whether it was tipped off the Minnesota blocker. I believe that was a Donna Rollins on that side that would have gotten a piece of it. And given the way Minnesota's blocked today, wouldn't be surprised if she did get a piece of it. It seems like they're getting a piece of just about everything the Wolverines try to put over. Getting a look here on our video board at Crisler Center. The second of back-to-back games Michigan Volleyball has had here at Crisler Center against top 10 teams in the country. Lost a heartbreaker in 5 sets yesterday against Wisconsin, which the Wolverines really thought they should have had the third set. They just couldn't quite get there. It was a Carly Scott show in that one. And the review is over. Call stands on the court. The video was inconclusive. So nothing changes here. Still 8-4 Minnesota. CC McGraw still serving. She serves it to Scott. Abbott tries left side for Scott. Again, 2 hits on Maddie Abbott. The second time in the last couple of points that we've seen that happen. Wolverines really missing Mackenzie Welsh right now. CC McGraw serving with Minnesota up 5 points. It's 9-4. Puts it over Smith. Abbott now trying right side. Glavinich off the block and out of bounds. That's going to be a kill for Katarina Glavinich. Her first since way early in the first set. That's a point for Michigan to get back within 4. It's 9-5.
Hopefully that point brings Michigan back into the game, as we're down by quite a lot on the second set so far.
Rocafort coming in to serve for Michigan. Minnesota tries right side. It goes off a block and down for Stephanie Samity. And she picks up Minnesota's 10th point here in this second set. They lead 10-5. That's Samity's 4th kill, or rather her 5th kill of the match. Puts it over and puts it well too long now is Samity. She was into serve. Tried for a little jump serve, a little bit softer there, and didn't get enough top spin on it. So service there, that's Minnesota's second of the match compared to 3 for Michigan. And it's a 10-6 set here. Carly Scott serving for Michigan. Dug out by McGraw. Seliger Swenson tries left side there for Rollins. Dug out by Michigan. Goes right back row for Carly Scott. A little bit of a softer one. Seliger Swenson. Slide play to the right side and hit straight into the net from Pittman. Or rather got a piece of Michigan, so eventually makes its way back over there. Paige Jones tries. Joust at the net off the dig attempt. And ends up by Minnesota side. Free ball for Michigan. Lurg. Rocafort. Left side. Paige Jones dug out there by Barnes. Minnesota tries right side there for Pittman. She goes cross court. She's just too big. None of these Wolverines can handle the 6'5 sophomore. She registers yet another kill on this one. That one will be her 6th of the match. Ties the team lead. And Minnesota leads 11-6. Donna Rollins to serve for Minnesota now. Tough handle there for Paige Jones, and Michigan's going to grant Minnesota a free ball. It's Rollins. Seliger Swenson, slide play, right side Pittman. She puts it right down the middle of the court to give Minnesota a 12-6 advantage and force a timeout from Michigan head coach Mark Rosen.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, Minnesota's looking really, really good out here so far in the second set, as they had just got another kill by Pittman. 2 plays in a row.
Back-to-back kills from Regan Pittman, the big 6'5 sophomore out of Spring Hill, Kansas. The second straight big middle blocker to give Michigan troubles after Dana Retke did yesterday. Gave Michigan just absolute fits. Back in that one, Retke for Wisconsin standing at 6'8", had 35 kill attempts, converted on 21 of them. Only 1 error. She hit 571 in that one. Just absolutely out of her mind did Dana Retke play. She had such a height advantage over the Michigan front line that's a little short-handed right now, that normally can make up for a height advantage sometimes by just pure skill and veteran instinct, but with Crocker and Weatherstrom out, have not been able to do so against a couple premier middle blockers in the Big Ten Conference in Retke and so far Pittman here, especially in this second set. However, Minnesota really needs a kill. It seems like they want to go to Pittman on the slide play. That exact play gave Michigan a ton of trouble yesterday. So back from timeout, it's Donna Rollins to serve again from Minnesota. Dug out by Michigan's Carly Scott. They'll go left side for Paige Jones. Off the block, dug out by Michigan. They'll try back row for Carly Scott. Dug out by Minnesota. Now it's McGraw. Seliger Swenson slide play again for Pittman. This time Michigan handles it, but hits a free ball to Minnesota. They tried left side there, and little touch shot, beautiful touch shot for Alexis Hart. Finds the middle of the floor. Give Minnesota a 13-6 lead. Courtesy of the junior out of Kansas City. That's the Missouri side, in case you were wondering. As Adana Rollins hits it over to Michigan now on the serve. Michigan tries left side, Paige Jones. She winds up and fires one, but it's dug out by McGraw. Minnesota tries back row there. Michigan calling for 2 hits, doesn't get one. Michigan tries left side for Ellie Brooks and stuck back by Pittman and Hart. Another block for Minnesota. Michigan not happy. Mark Rosen, Lisa Rosen up in arms. Thought there should have been a double hit call on Minnesota.
Minnesota now has 6 blocks in this game so far.
3 in each set. Adana Rollins still serving now, up 8. Michigan tries over the middle for Kayla Bear, but zero chance. The timing was off. She got a little piece of it, but it was immediately stuffed back by Regan Pittman. I don't know if that'll go down as a block or if Pittman gets a kill on the overpass potentially. It will go down again as a block. Regan Pittman, her 5th block of the match. She's been in on at least 5 of those blocks, 7 so far on the match for the Golden Gophers. And the Wolverines just being dominated on the front line right now. They're down by 9, it's 15-6. Recap you if you're just joining in on WCBN Sports broadcast of Michigan Volleyball. I'm Austin Buzzle alongside me, Nick Lee. Adam Rich had the first set. He'll be back in just a second when we get to the third. Well, the story of the match so far is Minnesota absolutely dominating up front, especially defensively. Michigan cannot get anything going outside of Paige Jones in the first set. They lost the first set to the Gophers by a score of 27-25. Had a couple set points, just could not quite take advantage. Minnesota every time seemed to have an answer when Michigan was on the verge of stealing that set. And so far in this one, Minnesota hopping out to a big lead, 15-6, largely off the strength of their middle blocker, Regan Pittman. On the defense up front, they've got 4 blocks, forcing a negative 143 attack percentage for the Wolverines here in this set. Absolutely astounding number. Michigan's had 21 chances on the attack. 6 of those errors, just 3 kills. Adana Rollins to serve again for Minnesota. Scott digs it out, but overpasses, and it's put down immediately by Alexis Hart. Minnesota's up by 10. They're really running away with this second set.
Yeah, Michigan is really struggling to come back in the second set. So they're down 16-6.
They cannot handle the serve here of Adana Rollins, and now Ellie Brooks will be subbed out for Maddie Abbott, trying to get a little bit better at handling those first touches of the Wolverines. Rollins serves it over. It's Scott. Abbott on the set, goes far side, left side for Paige Jones, dug out by McGraw. Seliger Swenson, left side. On the left-handed attempt there from Alexis Hart, tips it over. She adjusted in midair, a beautiful adjustment to record yet another kill for the junior. And Minnesota up 17-6 now. Donna Rollins serving again. Lurg, bump set now over for Maddie Abbott. Paige Jones finally gets on the board for Michigan yet again off a diving attempt from McGraw. It bounces off her, goes out of bounds, and Michigan snaps a 7-0 scoring run for Minnesota. And now is within 10 points. It's 17-7. Kayla Bear back to serve for Michigan. She puts it over with a low serve. Minnesota's going to get a chance. They go left side. Alexis Hart had a one-on-one against Maddie Abbott. She took advantage. No chance there for Michigan. And it's 18-7 Minnesota. Another area where Michigan misses Mackenzie Welsh. She's a little bit taller than Maddie Abbott by 3 inches, listed 6'1" compared to 5'10". And Mackenzie Welsh gets involved with the blocks as well. big 6'5" Pittman who serves from Minnesota. Michigan's immediately comes out, tries to slide play for Kiara Shan on the right side and stuffed back at them. They try Paige Jones on the left, and it is returnable for Minnesota. They go over the middle now for Morgan, but Michigan handles that one. Michigan tries left side for Paige Jones. Who else? Hits it off a dig attempt and out of bounds. Point Michigan, it's 18-8. Minnesota still leads. Katarina swaps out for Katarina as Rocafort subbed out for Glavinich. On the front line, Maddie Abbott to serve. She puts it up and over, returnable from Minnesota. Seliger Swenson, right side there for Morgan. Tip shot, but dug out by Michigan. Abbott tries left side for Paige Jones, but stuffed back yet again by the Gophers. It was Seliger Swenson getting in on that with Taylor Morgan on the double block of Paige Jones' attempt. Minnesota back up by 11. It's 19-8. And now Seliger Swenson back to serve. Puts it over. Scott handles it. Maddie Abbott tries to keep it alive. She does as Glavinich hits it over to Minnesota's side. A one-on-one attempt for Minnesota on the right side. They take advantage yet again as Samity finds the floor. Minnesota's up 20-8 and what has been an absolutely dominant second set. Seliger Swenson, the setter, still serving for Minnesota. She puts it over. It's Scott. Abbott tries to slide play for Kiara Shannon, but dug out there by Seliger Swenson. Bump set from McGraw going right side, and we have a net violation. I believe it's going to be called there on Rocafort. Perhaps Paige Jones. We'll get the exact number in just a second. Regardless, it's a point Minnesota. 21-8 the score. Seliger Swenson still serving. Puts it over. No, she doesn't. She tips it right off the top of the tape, and it falls on Minnesota's side. Michigan gets a point on the service error, and it's 21-9 now. It was Paige Jones on that last block error, and Paige Jones serves now. She tries to go to the right side down the line, but puts it too far right. So back-to-back service errors, and we're right back where we started at the beginning of the last two serves. Minnesota leading by 13. It's 22-9. Lauren Barnes now comes in to serve for the Golden Gophers. Michigan had trouble with her serves last time she came up in the rotation. Smith handles this one. It's Abbott. Left side, Carly Scott off the block and kept it alive by Minnesota for just a second before finding the floor. Michigan hits double digits now in the second set. It's 22-10 off the kill from Carly Scott. Just Scott's fifth kill of the match, or rather her fourth kill of the match. Jenna Lurg to serve. Had a service ace earlier in this set. Minnesota's able to return. It's Seliger Swenson going to the right side for Samity, dug out by Michigan. They try right side for Glavinich. That one was handled by Minnesota, who went back to Samity on the right side. It went off a block and out of bounds to give Minnesota a 13-point lead. Yet again, 23-10. Another kill from Stephanie Samity, who's now tied for the team lead in kills in this one with 8. CeCe McGraw, the libero, serving now for Minnesota. Michigan returns, tries left side for Carly Scott, but kept alive by Seliger Swenson. The set there goes to the back row. Minnesota feeds it over to Michigan. They try left side for Carly Scott. Minnesota blocks and gets a chance. They go right side for Samity, who goes for the block. It's dug out by Lurg, but off to the Minnesota side. They go to Samity yet again, and it goes off the block of Kayla Bear and down the Michigan side for yet another point. We got match, or rather set point here in set number 2. It's 24-10.
And Minnesota has been completely dominating the second set. Michigan can't seem to gain the momentum enough to be able to catch back up to Minnesota.
CeCe McGraw serving. Diving dig by there. Carly Scott. Michigan tries Glavinich for a tip shot, but absolutely denied by Pittman. And we had a little bit of a stoppage there from the referees. Nope. It is ruled a good block there. Minnesota takes the set off the block from Regan Pittman. Who else to take the second set by a score of 25-10, and what was a slightly different vibe from the first set, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't seem like the same Michigan team out there as in the second set as the first set.
A very, very different stories there in the first and second sets, respectively. Minnesota taking the first set by a score of 27-25, and then taking that second set there by a score of 25-10. So Minnesota showing why they're ranked number 3 in the country in that last set. Came out absolutely dominant, took advantage of just about every weakness that Michigan had in that set. Held Michigan to a negative .059 hit percentage. Just 6 kills on 34 attempts with 8 attack errors. 6 of those credited to blocks alone to push Minnesota's total up to 9. That was really the story of that set, I think, Nick. It was just the blocking by Minnesota on that one. Michigan could not get anything at all through that front line, specifically Regan Pittman.
When the music starts, our contestants will begin hula hooping. Whoever is our last contestant standing will be our winner.
So
all right, contestants,
we're here at this stoppage break. Michigan really reeling after a tough second set. Losing that one by a score of 25-10. They'll try to recover here in the third. I'm not sure what head coach Mark Rosen can really say to his Wolverine squad in the locker room. We'll see what they can do to try to combat Regan Pittman and the absolutely dominant performance there in the second set by Minnesota's front line.
Yeah, as you said, really no word other than dominant for that second set. Minnesota killing it in every single facet, blocking well, bringing really 3 defenders to every single hit by Carly Scott. They're able to win their one-on-ones on the outside. Just doing a great job, too, on the back end, keeping balls alive. And from the Wolverines side, just little lapses in concentration. And against a team as good as Minnesota, all they need is an instant to seize control of the match and really put things away for good.
Yeah, if Michigan can find a way to channel what they did in the first set, they might stand a chance here of at least taking a set versus the number 3 team in the country. It's going to be tough to take the next 3 for sure. But, I mean, crazier things have happened in college volleyball. You get hot, you find something that works. If for whatever reason Michigan finds something that works, which so far tonight has been just Paige Jones, if we're talking about the offense in general. If they can capitalize on it enough, I think get Minnesota try to make adjustments that don't necessarily suit them as opposed to the other way around that we've seen out of, especially that second set again. Just coming back to that second set, Minnesota really felt like they just asserted their dominance. They knew Michigan would not be able to handle Pittman and Morgan and that front line. They just throw names out there. Pittman, Morgan, Samity, Rollins, Hart, just across the board. They knew Michigan would not be able to handle them up front. And so they just kept going at it. They didn't try to get fancy. They knew what would work. I'm assuming they watched the film yesterday and saw how much Ratke killed them on the slide play and really started getting Pittman involved in that second set as well. Michigan has to force Minnesota to make an adjustment that suits the Wolverines and not the Gophers.
Yeah, and getting back to Michigan, my key player for the second set was Katarina Glavinich, and after starting 3 of 5 hitting the ball, she was 1 of 9 in the second set with 5 errors. Just really inexcusable if this team wants to have a chance against the premier team in the Big Ten, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And then, you know, after that strong first set, it did look like Kayla Bear slowed down a little bit, but really, as we've talked about for a little bit here, Carly Scott just not able to get in a rhythm because of how much attention the Golden Gophers have devoted to her. But even elsewhere, when the Wolverines have tried to get their hitters involved elsewhere, it really seems like the Golden Gophers have been 6 or 7 steps ahead in terms of predicting which play the Wolverines will get to. And a lot of that is just not having good first touches and having a little bit of discontinuity with the setting situation with Welsh being hurt. And you could definitely see it in that second set. I know the Wolverines have had 2 setters out there at lots of times between Abbott and Roccaforte to maybe try and mitigate some of the effects of not having Welsh, who would have been able to cover that same amount of ground and make plays, but nonetheless, really just hurting them up front, not being able to have one person patrolling the whole length of the court, making plays. And we'll see what adjustments the team comes out with in the third set, but a really dire-looking situation as of this point.
And I like a lot what you said there about knowing exactly what's coming from Michigan, they're really keeping the ball on one side of the floor of the Wolverines. If the first touch is on the right side, they don't get a good, or rather, wherever that first touch ends up is where the ball is going to be the kill attempt is going to be coming from. They have not been able to go across the court, perhaps, which makes it easy to mitigate if Carly Scott's on the left side. Minnesota just makes sure that the first touch of the serve isn't off to that left side, something that Minnesota has not had to worry about at all with Seliger Swenson regularly with these back sets that go all the way across the court. Just looking all the bit like the premier setter, not only in the Big Ten Conference, but in the country that she is.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said earlier, just such an incredible accomplishment at any single level of collegiate athletics. The only player ever to have over 5,000 assists. She's at about 5,100 right now, but still just incredible career numbers. Still half a season to go for a team with championship aspirations.
No doubt at all, Minnesota belongs in that conversation. As Maddie Abbott serves for Michigan to start things off. Minnesota gets a chance to return. Seliger Swenson goes left side for Alexis Hart, just like they did to start off the match when Maddie Abbott served. They go to Hart and record a kill to lead 1-0.
And really just too much strength from Minnesota. So many players attacking the net. You never know which one is going to get the ball. Such an unpredictable attack. So hard to stop.
Seliger Swenson now to serve for Minnesota, handled by Jones. Trying left side for Scott is Abbott, but blocked and dug out. Minnesota tries the middle this time, kept alive by Jenna Lerg for a second, but she cannot keep it alive as a diving Paige Jones. So Taylor Morgan records her first kill here in the third set of action to give Minnesota a 2-point lead.
And interestingly tonight, we saw Jones struggle on all facets yesterday, but tonight she's hit well all game. It's just been in those other areas where she struggled at times.
Seliger Swenson hits it over at Scott. Abbott, slide play for Kiara Shaw on the right side, stuck back and tried to keep it alive, did Lerg. She hit it towards the net. There was no one else there to make a play. Maddie Abbott tried to get there, but had too much ground to cover, had to go around her middle blocker. I believe that was Glavinich, rather. She had to try to go around to get to that ball. Minnesota takes a 3-0 lead. Seliger Swenson back to serve yet again. Swenson puts it over. It's Jones. Maddie Abbott has to run and get a bump set that Carly Scott sets over. Minnesota gets a one-on-one on the right side for Stephanie Samity. She takes advantage. Minnesota leads 4-0.
I mean, just so many one-on-one opportunities, and really the only way to beat this Minnesota team for anyone who has to face them the rest of the year is being able to go up and win at the net. But with such incredible sets from Seliger Swenson, it's going to be tough for any team in their tracks.
Good serve there, dug up by Jenna Lerg. They go left side for Carly Scott. She bounces it off a block and out of bounds to record Michigan's first point of the third set. It's 4-1.
And for the first time in really as far as I can remember, the Wolverines go to a high set cross court, and lo and behold, it caught Minnesota off guard. Funny how that works.
Yeah. Carly Scott to serve for Michigan now. A tough first hit there, and played it over the net, did Seliger Swenson. That's the second time tonight on a Carly Scott serve that the first touch has been off enough to force Seliger Swenson to go over the net. Michigan takes the point. It's 4-2. Carly Scott, the serve, a bit unremarkable if you're just looking at it, but tough to handle. And Minnesota has a little bit of trouble there. But the set from Seliger Swenson is right on for Alexis Hart, who puts it cross court down the middle for a 5-2 Minnesota lead.
Yeah, and a lot of the time in volleyball, you see hitters on the outside adjusting to where the ball is set. Here, it honestly seems like Seliger Swenson adjusts the ball to her hitter's time. Impeccable stuff.
Lauren Barnes serving for Minnesota. Michigan gets a chance on the right side. It's Glavinich who hits it off a block and out of bounds. She records another kill here, perhaps trying to get her going like they did a bit in the first set are the Wolverines. And it's 5-3 in favor of the Gophers.
And a good set from Abbott. They're able to get Glavinich in a little bit of rhythm. Clean approach, stepping into the shot, able to tool the block and bring it to 3-5.
Jenna Lerg serves for Wolverines. Dug out McGraw. And a overpass that goes over the net, and Michigan just did not realize what was going over. It tipped off the net and landed on the Michigan side. Point Minnesota.
And I know this team lost in 5 last night in a heartbreaker, and I know they're down 2, but you can't just lose your focus like that. You have to know where the ball is at all times.
CeCe McGraw serving for Minnesota now. It's Scott. Abbott back sets over the right side for Glavinich, who finds the floor again. Couple kills here in the third set for Glavinich, and Michigan's within 2. It's 6-4.
Yeah, just like in the first set, the timing the best between Glavinich and the setters, but still the ball really a little bit too far out in front of her, not able to get that clean topspin on it as much. Lucky that she was able to get it into the back corner.
Abby Malinowski now getting some playing time as she comes into the game. It was Rocafort to serve. Minnesota went right down the middle for Pittman, and she put it in front of a diving Rocafort for a Minnesota point, 7-4.
Yeah, interesting decision. Really seeing the whole kit and caboodle on the outside. We saw Ellie Brooks. Obviously, Glavinich has been playing big without Wetterstrom. But Malinowski, an interesting play here. We'll see if it pays off.
Serve dug out by Carly Scott. Michigan tries right side for Paige Jones. She hits it off the block, and it goes out. It did land out of bounds. Out of bounds, point Michigan off the kill for Paige Jones. Who else tonight? And Michigan's within a 2 yet again, 7-5.
Yeah, you wonder if there's just been a little bit of wear and tear of the season on Carly Scott tonight.
Paige Jones to serve now. Tough serve handled there by Lauren Barnes. Bump set to Pittman. Goes off the block of Bear and out of bounds. Point Minnesota, even when Michigan forces Minnesota into a tough first hit. Again, Seliger Swenson with a bump set there puts it right where it needs to be.
Yeah, up front there, it seemed like if Bear had let that one go, it would have been easily played in the back row, but obviously your instinct as a middle blocker, the name's in the position, you want to go up, try and block that one, and she hurt her team there, unfortunately and inadvertently.
With an 8-5 lead, Rollins serves to Michigan. Michigan tried left side for Carly Scott, but it was dug out. Minnesota went to the slide play for Pittman on the right side, and she bounced it off a block and out of bounds for Minnesota's point. Their 9th of the third set. It's 9-5.
And interesting, after being out there for a few points, we really haven't seen Malinowski get involved in the action at all.
Once again, Rollins serves, dug out by Natalie Smith. The set goes left side for Scott, and she hits it too far. She tried to find the back corner, couldn't do so. 10-5 Minnesota. This is about where Minnesota pulled away last set as well.
Yeah, and I get that you want to get Scott involved, but if there are 3 blockers impeding her, you can't keep peppering her.
Rollins set returned by Smith. Rocafort tried Kayla Bear. I don't know if that was a blocker or whether it went into the net. Either way, it landed back on the Michigan side for a Minnesota point. They lead 11-5, and Mark Rosen uses yet another early timeout here in the third set.
And again, just rough. This Minnesota team, really what sets them apart, in addition to just being such a well-rounded team, is their ability to win the one-on-ones at the net. This is a team that gets up, they get in your face, and they make things difficult for you. And in the event you get it by one of their players up front, you're probably going to find Cece McGraw on the backside waiting patiently for a good first touch. Such good positioning. We were talking last night about the incredible libero play, and nothing against McGraw, but Clark was probably, in my opinion, the best we've seen all year. McGraw still tonight doing a commendable job, really placing herself well, reading the blockers up front, reading the swing path of her opponents, and giving her team lots of opportunities to have clean sets thereafter.
The Simba cam here at Crisler Center, something you don't normally get over at Cliff Keene. Parents holding up babies, friends holding up friends at this point, trying to get on the Jumbotron here, and what is the second to last Crisler game for the Wolverines this season, if my memory serves me correctly on the schedule. This is their 4th of the year, I believe. They had earlier in the year welcomed Notre Dame into Crisler Center, won that one on a 3-0 sweep. Penn State lost that one in a 3-0 sweep. Last night's heartbreaker against Wisconsin in 5 sets. Again, tonight's against Minnesota. They'll play one more against Michigan State to round out their home schedule, Big Ten schedule, and actually regular season schedule as well. So back to the action here. Rollins serves for Minnesota. Michigan tries left side for Scott on the first kill attempt out of the timeout, rather, and it finds the middle of the floor with a little touch shot. It's 11-6.
And there, Samity in the back left corner was occupied by the jump of Bear, had to lay back, but Scott able to flip that one over with lots of topspin. You know, you see the consistency from her, even when things aren't going her way, still approaching the game the right way, cheering on her teammates, knowing it's first to 3, no time whatsoever, still opportunity for this Michigan team. They're just going to have to capitalize right away.
Kylie Amaker comes in for Kayla Bear to serve now. Minnesota handles the serve, dug out there on the kill attempt from Hart. Got a great diving great diving dig there from Natalie Smith, but Michigan cannot get the point on that. I didn't catch the call from the referees. It might have been yet another double hit off a set attempt. Either way, it leads to a Regan Pittman serve for Minnesota as they lead 12-6. Pittman serves it over at Smith. Rocafort trying left side for Carly Scott. Off the block attempt. Dug out by Minnesota perhaps and hit over free ball Michigan. It's Lurg. Rocafort, right side. That was the first attempt there from Malinowski, but dug out by Minnesota. They tried left side for Hart. After a bit of a overpass there, it's slammed down by Taylor Morgan in the middle. Point Minnesota, they lead 13-6 now. Pittman now bounces a couple times, ready to run up to the line to serve. Pittman with a soft serve there on her knees. It's Carly Scott to dig that one out. They'll take over the middle for Kiara Shannon, but it's shot back. Natalie Smith hits over to Minnesota side. Minnesota's kill attempt there from Taylor Morgan hits off the block, but there was no one to recover the soft fluttering ball that landed right down the middle of the floor. And Minnesota leads 14-6 on back-to-back Taylor Morgan kills. Minnesota on a 3-0 run. So we get some more shifting around of lineups for the Wolverines. Out comes Malinowski, in comes Abbott. Another serve here from Pittman. Dug out by Natalie Smith. Abbott trying for the slide play right side for Kiara Shannon. It's handled by Minnesota back to the Michigan side. Abbott now tries left side. Tip shot from Carly Scott is dug out. They try over the middle now for Morgan. It's dug out by Rocafort. The set from Abbott to Scott on the left side is absolutely stuffed back again. Taylor Morgan in the middle. She's not 6'5" like her other fellow middle blocker, Regan Pittman, but the 6-foot junior, redshirt junior out of Blaine, Minnesota, gets the job done and gives Minnesota a 15-6 lead here in the third set.
Now Minnesota is leading in the blocks, 12 blocks to 0 Michigan. It's really showing the difference in the points here throughout the second set and the third set so far as well.
Yeah, only 3 blocks recorded from Minnesota back in the first set. And that was a set that Michigan was on the verge of winning. They had a couple set points, but as you mentioned, last set 6 blocks from Minnesota. This set 3 already, a little bit halfway through. Just absolutely dominant performances up front. It's not even Regan Pittman this time that gave the Wolverines fits in the second set. It's the quote-unquote backup Taylor Morgan. She starts listed as middle blocker behind Pittman, but just absolutely fantastic, impressive job from this Minnesota front line to get back and forth across the net, getting to every single ball the Wolverines even attempt to hit over.
As we look at the stats here, Minnesota's stats seem to be more spread out than Michigan's stats overall, with more kills towards Paige Jones for 15, and then the next top hitter.
It's Glavinich and Scott tied at 6 after that. Jones, the only person Michigan's able to get going, and she's been a little bit quieter in the last 2 sets. The serve here for Michigan dug out after a couple tough hits. Carly Scott puts it over to Minnesota. They tried the middle for Morgan, but dug out by Natalie Smith. Michigan tries left side for Scott. Swatted back at him. Maddie Abbott tries right side there. Slide play for Kiara Shannon, goes off a block and finds the floor to give Michigan a much needed point. Ends a 4-0 scoring run for Minnesota, and it's 15-7. Glavinich comes back in for Rocafort, and Maddie Abbott steps behind the line to serve for Michigan. Abbott with the jump serve. Dug out by Minnesota. It's Seliger Swenson. The kill attempt there blocked back by Shannon and Glavinich. They try yet again on that left side for Hart, and she puts it too long, perhaps deterred a little bit by that double block. One of the first that Michigan's able to get all night. And Michigan picks up the point on the attack error. It's 15-8, still in favor of Minnesota. Maddie Abbott serving again, puts it over. Minnesota has a returnable one. Seliger Swenson, left side for Hart. Dug out by Michigan. Goes back to Hart, though. She hits it over. Michigan bumps up from Carly Scott towards the net. Joust attempt put over there. I believe it was Taylor Morgan that got her hands on it. Of course it was, in the middle, to give Minnesota a 16-8 lead. They got Michigan double up here in the third. Minnesota leads this one 2-0 and leads this third set 16-8 as they put their setter Samantha Seliger-Swenson behind the line. She serves it over, handled by Michigan. They try left side for Carly Scott, but swatted back again. They try again on the bump set for Scott, but Minnesota handles that one. Tries over the middle again, a triple block, and Taylor Morgan finds space between him to pick up yet another kill and give Minnesota a 17-8 lead. Taylor Morgan coming on strong here in this third set. Seliger-Swenson serves again and serves it too long, out of bounds. The first service error for Minnesota in a long while. Their fourth of the match overall, ties the Wolverines. And it's 17-9 now. Minnesota still leading, still on the verge of closing this one out with a sweep. Carly Scott puts over from Michigan, and an ace there. Again, Carly Scott's serve doesn't look like anything spectacular, but it's tough for defenses to handle. And Michigan's hit double digits here at 17-10. Scott again goes to the back there. It's handled this time for Minnesota. They go to the left side for Hart, who tries to go cross court but puts it too long over that right side, over the line. And it's 17-11 now. Michigan on a 3-0 run. Scott again serving. Puts it over. A tough one to handle yet again, but from Seliger-Swenson goes to Hart, and Hart puts it down the left side for a point. It's 18-11. Really a difference maker here. Every time Michigan's gotten on a little bit of a 3-0 scoring run, Minnesota's answered right away. Michigan has not been able to do so, letting runs get out to 7 or 5 points in the last couple sets. Lauren Barnes serving for Michigan, or Minnesota rather, tips off the top of the tape for Michigan. Lerg handled it. The kill attempt in the middle there for Bear handled it back to the Michigan side, or rather Shannon. She tried again, and Minnesota recovered, went down the middle to Taylor Morgan. She had a one-on-one against Shannon, and Shannon didn't stand a chance with a perfect set yet again from Seliger-Swenson to put Minnesota up 19-11. Barnes serving again for Minnesota. She puts it over. It's handled by Scott. Abbott tries left side, Paige Jones off the block, and down it goes. Point Michigan. It's 19-12. They're within 7, which doesn't sound too spectacular, but they've already eclipsed their point total from the second set. Jenna Lerg serves it over, and another ace for Jenna Lerg, puts it right in front of the freshman Adana Rollins. Michigan really picking on Rollins here, serving right at her. She couldn't handle the Carly Scott ace a couple serves ago. And Jenna Lerg puts it right in front of her on this one. 19-13 now, Minnesota still leads. Lerg serving for Michigan, puts it over again at Rollins. Rollins returns it though. Back set to the right side, dug out there by Michigan. Lerg, bump set, right side, Glavinich off the block, saved by Maddie Abbott. Lerg, bump set, left side, Paige Jones off the block attempt, and out of bounds. Point Michigan again. And they're within 5 now. It's 19-14.
Michigan's really coming back here as they're starting to gain more momentum on Minnesota.
Big part of that, the tough serves from Jenna Lerg. Here she goes again. Serves it to the back there. Tough handle again, but Minnesota was what's gone. They go to what's been working all match, which is Taylor Morgan over the middle. She hit it off the block. Michigan was able to put it to Minnesota side, but she hit it so hard it went all the way out of bounds. And Minnesota leads 20-14. Serving now is the libero, C.C. McGraw. It's Scott. Abbott over the middle there. Kayla Bear dug out by McGraw. It's Lerg now. Abbott, right side. Tries for the tip shot, does Glavinich, but it's swatted right back at her by Adana Rollins. 21-14 now is the Gophers' lead. They're closing in on a sweep here at Crisler Center. McGraw puts it over off the top of the tape. Carly Scott has to dive to get it. Michigan tries left side for Paige Jones, but it's returned by Minnesota. We have net violation on Minnesota, though, before it was hit over. Adana Rollins just tried to get a little tip on it, but hit the net as she was going for it. So Michigan picks up their 15th point. It's 21-15. Again coming back in is Abby Malinowski perhaps taking Ellie Brooks' spot in the rotation that we saw in the first couple sets. As Katarina Rocafort comes in to serve. Tough serve there, handled by Barnes. Minnesota's going to try the left side, but dug out there by Lurg off a tough attempt from Rollins. Michigan tries left side for Paige Jones. 2 Gophers are able to handle it. They go to the left side yet again for Rollins, and it's stuffed back by Bear and Malinowski. Point Michigan. It's 21-16 now as they once again get back within 5, just trying to get anything going, try to get some life back in the building. It's Rocafort to serve again. Dug out there again on a tough serve from Barnes. Minnesota eventually tips it over towards Michigan. They try left side. Paige Jones off top of the block. Handled by Minnesota. A bump over there. Michigan's getting a free ball. Lurg. Rocafort over the middle. Kayla Bear off the block and down. Point Michigan there within 4. Crisler Center getting just a little bit louder now. It's 21-17. Head coach Hugh McCutcheon not at all concerned on the Minnesota bench. Still kicked back. Rocafort serves again. Handled there by Barnes. They go right side. Dug out by Lurg. Rocafort. Back row for Carly Scott. It's going to be an easy one to handle for Minnesota, except for 2 Minnesota players go for it. So they're going to offer up a free ball for Michigan. It's Lurg. Rocafort. Left side. Paige Jones off the block and down on Michigan's side. Again, right when Michigan has momentum, Minnesota stuffs it right back. Pittman and Samity on that one. The lead's back out to 5 for the Golden Gophers, 22-17. Samity's the one back to serve now, the sophomore out of Claremont, Florida. It's Scott Rocafort trying right side for Paige Jones. Tip shot cannot be handled by Pittman. And Michigan claws within 4 again. It's 22-18. Paige Jones to serve for Michigan. If Michigan could ever use one of those Paige Jones serving runs, it's right now. Her first serve, though, goes too long. Service error. Minnesota back up by 5, 23-18. Jones will leave the match for Natalie Smith in the back row. A little bit of a trouble there with the exchange and the sub. Scorers table has it down low, and Adana Rollins back to serve. Rollins puts it up and puts it over. It's Lurg. Rocafort, left side, Carly Scott finds the floor. Carly Scott's gotten a few more opportunities in this third set. She's taken advantage of it. She brings Michigan once again back within 4, 23-19. Kayla Bear, the middle blocker, serving for the Wolverines now. Freshman out of Prior Lake, Minnesota, though, hits it much too far. Service error yet again for Michigan. 2 here in the last 3 serves they've had. And Minnesota match point, 24-19. Back to serve for him is Pittman appropriately. She absolutely dominated the second set. Has made her presence yet again felt here in the third. The 24-19 lead. Pittman looks up at the scoreboard. Now goes for the jump serve. It's a soft one handled by Smith. To Rocafort. Left side, Carly Scott. Off an attempt at a dig and out of bounds. A rocket out of the right arm of Carly Scott. And once again, it's a 4-point game, 24-20, still in favor of the Golden Gophers. As Malinowski and Rocafort come out of the game, and Glavinich and Abbott come in. Abbott bounces the ball a couple times, ready to serve. Puts it over 24-20, the Wolverines trail. And a big reason why is that exact play right there. Minnesota went to Taylor Morgan over the middle. She hit it out the Wolverine block and out of bounds to give Minnesota a 25-20 set lead, or rather set win here, and give them the sweep at Crisler Center. The number 3 team in the country comes in and defeats number 12 team in the country in straight sets, 27-25, 25-10, and 25-20. And Nick, any thoughts on just exactly what maybe went wrong for the Wolverines in this one?
Wolverines seemed to really get down after their loss in the first set, 27-25. They couldn't seem to get back into it. But they did end up coming back out in the third set, going 25-20. A lot closer, definitely, for sure, than the second set. But they still struggled with those serving points, trying to get those in. They need to work on those if they want to try to compete against Minnesota.
Yeah, just things not quite going right for the Wolverines here in this one. Once again, Minnesota sweeps Michigan in the 3 sets here at Crisler Center. Michigan volleyball will next be in action against Indiana next week. That is a Wednesday game. The next home action for Michigan won't be until November 7th when they welcome Maryland into Cliff Keen Arena. We will have that call for you, space permitting, on WCBN Sports. After that, Nebraska comes into town, and we won't be back here at Crisler till November 24th, the last game of the season against Michigan State. Hopefully by then the Wolverines will be healthy. They've been reeling here lately. Final score in this one, Minnesota wins 3-0. Michigan unfortunately drops both games on the weekend, but we appreciate you tuning in here on WCBN Sports for all the Michigan volleyball action this weekend. For myself, Austin Falco, Adam Rich, and Nick Lee, once again, thank you for listening in, and we leave you, as always, with a good night and a Go Blue.